Next week we're going to see the first Abbott government budget, and from all accounts and the media reporting of leaks, it suggests that it's going to be a very tough budget. We expect the government budget to come in at a deficit of $30 billion for the year ahead, 14-15, following what we expect will be a $47 billion deficit in 13-14. These are still fairly significant deficits. The improvement in the deficit from this year's 3% of GDP to next year's 2% should continue over the following few years, and we should only have a small deficit by on the sort of the 5-year time horizon. A lot of that was already built in to the budget from the previous Labor government. The so-called budget emergency that has been talked about by the Treasurer and the government generally doesn't refer to this short-term outlook for government finances. It's more about the longer-term sustainability of government finances. And the reason we have an issue there is that we have the combination of an ageing population, which will increase the health costs of the community and also the pension liabilities of the government, combined with some very generous spending programs that were put in place by the previous government. That is the National Disability Insurance Scheme and reforms to education. On top of that, the government's paid parental leave scheme is also going to be a costly spending initiative. This really hits the budget from 5 years onwards, from 2018-19 onwards, and that's really the focus of the Commission of Audit, is to come up with recommendations with how to deal with that medium to long-term problem. And some of those issues will be dealt with in this budget. It does need to be dealt with now, because every year we leave it, the problem will get worse and the decisions will have to be more and more difficult. So now is the right time to do it. Politically, it's the first budget of a new government. Now is the time to take politically difficult decisions. And of course, I think the other objective of this budget will be to make sure that the downside risks to government finances are removed. So we're going to expect some very conservative economic projections, the talk of a deficit levy, which will be a short-term boost to the budget just for the next 2 to 4 years to really get the budget position improved, I think is all about giving the government opportunity to have some flexibility ahead of the next election in 2016. In terms of the likely impact on the economy, we expect the budget to have a small negative, as fiscal tightening suggests, but I do not think it'll be significant. At face value, all the measures that have been leaked and what's already in the budget suggest a 0.5 to 3/4 of a percentage point drag on GDP growth over the next 2 or 3 years from this budget, but I think that's probably the worst case scenario. There's likely to be a boost to confidence from a government with a clear fiscal strategy and projecting a strong government financial position over the medium term. And of course, some of the revenue measures that they'll put in place, such as the deficit levy on high income earners, are likely to impact savings rather than consumption. So overall, this will be a bit of a headwind. It may slow the recovery. It should not, and we would be very surprised to see it derail the recovery. And if anything, it gives the Reserve Bank a little bit more breathing room on interest rates. We currently expect them to be on hold for another year or so, raising rates in 2015. If the budget delays that a little bit, that's a nice offset which will help the economy over the next few years. Thank you.